I know most of you on this call, or at least through email. It's really, really nice to connect with everyone. It's been a long time. My name is John Tanzella, if we have not met, and I'm the president and CEO for IGLTA. Today's call is a little bit more about the IGLTA Foundation, which the organization set up to assist the membership and the tourism industry with three key pillars, which is research, education, and leadership. And within the foundation, we do a lot of various projects to support those three pillars. And one of them is referred to as the Emerging LGBTQ Destination Program. We've held some meetings in person, as some of you, I think, were in those meetings in person about emerging destinations at our conventions, but we've never done one like this that is much broader and reaching a lot more people around the world as we're seeing today. So I'm looking forward to a great discussion, and thank you to our board members who are here and fellow IGLTA team members. And I will now pass it over to our esteemed global membership manager, who is from Colombia, but is calling in from Toronto, Canada, Santiago Aguera. Good morning.
Thank you, John. Yes, as John mentioned, I am located or based in Toronto. So if you're in Canada, please do reach out to me and we can have coffee. Or if you're anywhere else in the world, we'll probably meet in one of our trade shows or wherever we are. We're always happy to meet. As John mentioned, I am the global membership manager at IGLTA. And happy Pride Month, everyone. Today and well, every year in June, we celebrate those who came before us, those who fought for our recognition around the world. And we honor the lives, especially of transgender people, queer men and butch women who were the most visible to the community 53 years ago when we had the Stonewall riots, and they took the first steps towards a freer society for LGBTQ plus people everywhere around the world. And it is also the reason that we can have an association at all, that we can talk about LGBTQ plus tourism, and that we can have this webinar today. However, today, in 2022, in over 70 countries, it is still criminalized, or homosexuality is still criminalized, being LGBTQ is still criminalized. And in 11 of these countries, you can even face the death penalty if you're LGBTQ. There's still a lot of work to be done. And precisely the Emerging Destinations Program seeks to support LGBTQ-owned businesses to engage in the world of LGBTQ tourism and helping them, or helping those businesses, create new growth, create a networking opportunity or networking opportunities, while at the same time allowing your company to operate safely wherever you are. So no matter where you are, no matter even if you are in that list of 70 countries in the world where being LGBTQ is criminalized, the Emerging Destinations Program seeks to help your business connect with a thriving community of businesses in the LGBTQ tourism world. So today our discussion will be framed around whether LGBTQ tourism can actually thrive in emerging destinations. I'll tell you a little bit about IGLTA so that for those of you who are new to the association, for those of you who have never engaged with us in the past, understand a little bit where we come from. The International LGBTQ Travel Association was founded in 1983. It is the world's leading network of LGBTQ plus welcoming tourism businesses. We provide free travel resources and information while also continuously working to promote equality and safety within LGBTQ plus tourism worldwide. Fast forward almost 40 years since our foundation, and we are now a network of more than 11,000 business professionals in almost 80 countries around the world. So IGLTA really has global presence. We can tell from this call, and it's all like just the staff is in 9 countries around the world, and everyone else here is joining from different parts of the world. This is the power of IGLTA. We really connect a global community of LGBTQ welcoming businesses and LGBTQ owned businesses, just like the ones that this program that we're going to discuss today is directed to. Quickly, just to tell you a little bit about why LGBTQ tourism matters. LGBTQ global spending power, or LGBTQ spending power, around the world is $3.9 trillion. That's a huge number. That's that could be the GDP of a rich country in the world. So it's a lot of spending power. And just from that total, around $211 billion from that total is calculated to be tourism expenditure, meaning that LGBTQ people travel, and they travel a lot. So LGBTQ travel definitely becomes a key niche when it comes to destination development and when it comes to business development. LGBTQ travel can provide an opportunity for diversification into a high spending niche and also into loyal travelers around the world who, when they're treated fairly and feel safe, will keep coming back. LGBTQ travel can also help create jobs and provides training and professionalization opportunities for the tourism industry and destinations. And it provides business opportunities for growth, even when growth may be stagnant. Just like we saw in the pandemic and other opportunities where we have seen LGBTQ travelers being the first travelers to be back on a plane, to be back on board, and to be back spending in tourism. So it is a niche worth spending or worth investing in. It is a niche that will definitely have a positive effect in your business if you do things right. And that is why connecting with a community like IGLTA and being part of the most powerful network for LGBTQ travel in the world could be really helpful to grow. So this call today will definitely provide some arguments as to why you, as a business in an emerging destination, should consider being part of IGLTA and the benefits that this program can provide for your business. So without further ado, I want to introduce Amine, our star moderator of the day and our host for this call.
So much, Santi, and thank you, John, for the welcome. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to IGLTA's Foundation webinar, Can LGBTQ plus tourism thrive in emerging destinations? As Santi mentioned, my name is Amine. I am the IGLTA Foundation coordinator. I am based in Morocco, and I'll be your host for the next hour. This is actually my first time ever moderating a panel discussion, and I'm really honored to do it for this important subject. So with that, I would like to give a special welcome to our speakers, our IGLTA global partners, our members, non-members, and also recognize the IGLTA staff and board members who are with us today. So before we get started with our guest speakers, who I'll introduce in just a few minutes, I would like to also give a brief introduction about the IGLTA Foundation, because I believe that the majority of our attendees are more familiar with our association, but our foundation was also created to empower LGBTQ plus welcoming travel businesses through leadership, research, and education. It was founded in 2012, and it is the public charity subsidiary of IGLTA that supports initiatives for industry organizations, leaders, and communities to advance LGBTQ plus travel all around the world. So what we do exactly is provide marketing support to LGBTQ plus businesses in emerging destinations. We offer mentorship to LGBTQ plus tourism professionals, and we create resources that increase the understanding of LGBTQ plus travel, because we believe that understanding the community is a huge step toward advancing LGBTQ plus travel. We also offer fellowship to small business through the Foundation Fellowship Program, where we provide funding and mentorship to selected LGBTQ plus small business leaders, young professionals, and students. We give them the resources to attend the IGLTA Global Convention, and we contribute to their professional LGBTQ plus tourism development. And I am happy to share that we are still receiving application for this year's fellowship. So please feel free to apply. All the convention registrations fee and travel expenses are included in the program. recipients will have the opportunity to network with travel industry leaders from all around the world and attend all educational sessions. Kristen, can you please share the link in the chat? And I hope you will apply, and we hope to see you in Milan. With that, I would like to introduce our first guest speaker, Robindro Saikhom, the founder of Serene Journeys, India's premier luxury and bespoke travel company for LGBTQ+ travelers, friends, and allies. He is based in India and has over 10 years of experience in the travel industry. Robin is also a wildlife enthusiast, an avid photographer, and a foodie. Robin, thank you so much for joining us today. Would you like to say a few words to the audience?
Thank you, John. Thank you, Amine. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Lauren. I can't remember everyone now. Happy Pride Month. It's nice to be here on the platform. Nice to connect with everyone here. And I'm very much looking forward to the discussion where we are going to be presenting India.
Happy to have you with us, Robin. Our next speaker is coming all the way from Brazil and Seychelles. Please welcome Gisele Abrahao. Gisele has been working in the travel and tourism industry since 2002, having in her repertoire solid experiences in North American, Canadian, Brazilian, and South American markets. Gisele represents Brazil and South America in Tourism Seychelles, and she is also the CEO of Global Vision Access. She believes in sustainable and responsible tourism as the basis for great business and success. Gisele, I'm really happy to have you with us today. Would you like to say a few words to the audience?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. Like John said, it's so good to be here. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for the invitation. And I hope we can exchange some experiences that will, inspire others to do the same.
Thank you, Gisele. And last but not least, we have with us a young tour operator coming all the way from South Africa. He's a professional safari specialist with over 10 years of travel experience. Please welcome Lipian Tandabari. Lipian is also the founder and director of the Zulu Safari in Zimbabwe, along with Ntsako Travel Africa in South Africa. Lipian has a strong passion for tourism and promoting equality through travel. Lipian also received the David Martin Small Business Fellowship in 2019 at our global convention for his outstanding role in LGBTQ+ travel across the globe. And fun fact, me and Lipian are actually classmates, as he is this year LGBTQ+ Tourism Master Degree Scholarship recipient at CETT and the University of Barcelona. Lipian, I'm really happy to have you with us today.
Thank you so much. And it's quite exciting to have this opportunity to speak about, these emerging destinations and to be on a call, connecting all of us, friends, colleagues, and it's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Lipian. Without further ado, let's kick off our panel discussion. So this webinar will be an opportunity for IGLTA and the IGLTA Foundation to raise awareness and educate our attendees about the importance of the IGLTA Foundation Emerging Destination Program that helps assist small LGBTQ+ owned or operated tourism businesses in emerging markets, where the infrastructure for LGBTQ+ tourism is not established. As we all know, implementing LGBTQ+ tourism is challenging in countries that are fairly open and where the LGBT infrastructure is more or less established. It is an even more complicated task in emerging countries where sometimes being LGBTQ+ is punishable by the law, as Santi mentioned. However, social media and internet has a huge impact on having the world connected and raising awareness about important subjects such as the equal right to travel for all. So my first question is for Robin and Gisele. Do you think that during the last decade, LGBTQ+ owned businesses have evolved in a way where they can exist openly?
Serene Journeys was launched in August 2013 as a gay-owned boutique travel, exclusively for our LGBT+ community who were looking to explore India. Now we welcome everyone. Homosexuality in India was decriminalized only in 6 September 2018. So there were already established LGBT-owned businesses existing before then. Yes, we have evolved. We are still evolving with more new businesses coming out. Can they exist openly? Some can afford to do that, while others don't. There is still some way to go before that happens, and it depends on societal acceptance, the changing mindsets of people. We may not be there yet, but we are taking baby steps in that direction.
Exactly. Gisele, would you like to add?
Yes, I would. I think it's like everything, right? To have a tree, we need to plant the seed. And it's basically what happens in every segment. And I think I see the huge change and improvement, not only like when you see what the association is doing, right? IGLTA is doing, and all the numbers that Santi shared with us, how much you grew. And I think it was because seeds were being planted. And I see that if you think about that, the emerging destinations, they are still trying to figure out the whole structure. So we cannot just go and, okay, we are ready to do that. There is a learning process. And this takes time, and not only time, but patience, not only patience, but risk takers, not only risk takers, but people that are engaged and involved. So yes, of course, everyone that it's part of the community or part of the community indirectly as well, and wants to see change and wants to see a better world in a way, feels like it's taking too long, but it's not, you know, it's just taking the time that it must take in order for people to be really understanding. And one thing that I would like to mention, and that takes time to build as well, like when Santi said about the segment, right, the LGBTQ plus segment, and how much money that can bring to a destination, to a GMO, to a GMC, to a hotel, anyway, anyone in the tourism industry. I think what we need to before the money that it brings is the bridge that it builds. And this is what tourism is all about. So, and to build that bridge takes a little while. So I do see that it's, especially being in Brazil and seeing what Seychelles took us 5 years, Martina, to sign the agreement, 5 years. But it was not because they said no, it's because they were trying to learn. And it takes time to learn, you know, look, like I'm a mother. My son is still 9 and learning things that I would expect him to learn when he was 5, but he's still learning, and it's a process. So I just want to say, like, I'm so proud to see everything that is happening. I'm so proud to be part of it and related to it and see all these changes. And if I could say some things like we should not let it go and give up. We should continue crying, screaming, and sometimes laughing and just building, because that bridge will be set.
Exactly, as you mentioned, Gisele, it's a whole process of raising awareness and changing the mentalities, and that won't happen from one day to another, especially in emerging countries, because we have societies that have a traditional background and that cannot be changed overnight. And especially, for example, coming from an emerging country myself, I am well aware that sometimes the society doesn't distinguish between your professional life and personal life, which can put the LGBTQ plus community in a delicate position, because having an LGBTQ plus business can out you in a way that will make you really vulnerable. And actually that brings me to my next question to Lipian. I wanted to know, Lipian, for you as an openly gay man operating between South Africa and Botswana, are there any example of discrimination that you faced when you first started your business in Ntsako Travel Africa?
I think maybe just to give perspective, Zimbabwe, South Africa, Botswana are countries that are strong in deep-rooted cultures, and there's a belief that it's a taboo to identify as LGBTQ. So obviously the first stigma discrimination you'd face is with your own family members. It moves from your family members to your business associates, colleagues, because each time you have to, you remember you are running a business and you have to engage with different companies and government and public sector institutions, and you are talking to them about LGBT tourism, and the first thing that comes to their mind is homosexuality. How can there be tourism for homosexuals? And you have to explain yourself. Each time you also talk about LGBT tourism, the next question that comes to you is, are you also one of them, or are you a gay, as they would put it in that way? So there's always been discriminatory positions, stance, sentiments from a number of colleagues, a number of institutions, especially individuals representing institutions. But I think the more we stay relevant to the cause of advancing LGBT tourism, the more they will also understand that it's not about the deep-rooted cultures that they have.
Yeah, I know it can be difficult in a way for the community, and I know that, for example, the current work form post-COVID and remote work might have made things more easy for LGBTQ plus people, but LGBTQ plus people who are operating on site are still suffering from a lot of discrimination. So we will still have to make a lot of efforts to secure a safe space for the LGBTQ plus community operating on site in emerging destination. And therefore, and this question is addressed to all the speakers. I wanted to know if you think there is a way we can help the community create and promote their businesses without putting them in danger.
Can I start?
Of course.
Well, the first time I heard that, I remember when we were talking, getting to know each other 2-3 weeks ago, you guys mentioned that usually when you support the community, you go to that segment, start doing things within the segment, you are coming out. And I'm like, oh, I never heard that, because I'm a natural and never had anyone coming to me and think that I'm a homo. What I think is that we need, once again, going back to our essence, we need to understand that the same way that you want, let's say, us heteros to understand the community needs to understand us. And I think more we are comfortable and have respect above everything else, everything works. So it can be, I never ever thought, or Seychelles, as a matter of fact, ever thought that it could create conflict. The only thing that we always have to do, and I advise everyone to do that, everything that we do business-wise, it's understand where we are going, how we are going to do it, have a plan, have a purpose, have a goal, and make sure that we get ourselves connected to people that understand as well where we're going. So when Seychelles, when we start looking at the association, becoming a member and investing in this segment, first thing I did, I contacted one member of IGLTA, Maria, and I said, okay, they are asking me to talk about Seychelles in Brazil. Can you let me know who can help me to understand better about the segment? So she put me in contact with Ed Savato. That is an educator and a speaker, a person that I asked him for 10 minutes of attention. He gave me 3 hours over the phone. He basically gave me a huge immersion on what it is, and the whole history, what are the challenges, and with my heart open, I said, okay, I need to learn more. And he introduced me to Rangel here in Brazil, that had nothing to do with Seychelles. But what we need to do is to do our homework, get in contact with people that can assist us in learning what we don't know, in connecting the dots. And then when Rangel came to me and explained to me what happens in Brazil, I was able to go back to Seychelles and say, listen, we do have numbers, but more than numbers, Seychelles has the essence of diversity, inclusion, sustainability. They have that in their DNA. So then with all these facts, I could go to the government and show why that would be important. And they were like extremely open and wanting to know more. So there will be challenging everything we do. My tip would be, and what I would suggest is always prepare yourself for that. Get connected to people that can teach you something that you don't know. Get the facts, get information that the others that do not know as much and also do not know as you did not could get the information they need to make decisions. And then, sometimes you take time. You want the answer from yesterday, you didn't get, wait until next month and next year and keep doing it, because there is a purpose, there is a goal, and then we go from it.
Exactly, and that's why
a lot of people, not only in Brazil and at association, but a lot of people in Seychelles also help. Like we have Hilton there that is extremely open and active that could plant the seed with us as well. So then all this connection make it happen.
Yes, and exactly, and that's why one of the main pillars of the IGLTA Foundation is education, because changing mentalities and raising awareness about the importance of the tourism, the LGBTQ plus tourism, will lead us to build the bridge that you were talking about earlier. Because if we don't change the mentalities, people won't know where they are standing and where they are going. So with that, I would like to give a chance to Robin and Lipian to comment on the question as well. Robin, you can start.
I think he put a note and he's having some connectivity challenges.
Oh, Lipian, you can do it.
Okay. I think how we can support emerging businesses is, I believe there's so much room for collaborations and synergies, especially with the businesses that are already existing and they have tapped into this particular market. And should these businesses be supported in such a way that they are not being exposed to any risk from a society perspective or from a destination perspective, I think the best way for them to go is to synergize and collaborate with those existing businesses. The value chain for LGBT tourism is quite unique and diverse. And obviously there are a number of services that they can probably engage in, and they don't find themselves in the front line, and they can at least find their way to understand the market better as they rise within the ropes. And to that stage, when it is conducive for them and they're also confident in what they are doing, in the service that they are giving, and also confident to eventually come across as if they are coming out, even though sometimes it's not into the market and identifying.
I think we kind of lost you in the last part. I just got the part where it's a chain that needs a lot of connections, and I think one of the main issues in general is having tourism entities or governmental tourism entities not being involved in that process, which leads us to a minimum visibility of LGBTQ plus tourism. And I'm pretty aware, as we said earlier, we cannot change the mentalities from one day to another, but slow progress is still progress, right? So I would like to ask Gisele now a question, is what we can do to develop LGBTQ plus in emerging destinations from your professional perspective, and most importantly, how can we get tourism entities like CVBs or DMOs involved in the process?
I think that it's what I mentioned before is the key. We need to find those people that can help us to understand better the possibilities. We need to connect with the local community. Right now, I'm so excited because we see there is a LGBTQ plus association in Seychelles as well. They are very engaging and very active. Other brands in Seychelles, other companies are being more active as well. One thing we did before, because we didn't know how to promote, so we got a person here, Rangel, the one that we got in contact, and we sent them to the destination to put the first LGBT guide, travel guide, the first ever LGBT travel guide done here in Brazil, and was available in English as well, was on Seychelles. And then with that material, we could go and promote. So it's just understanding that it's going to be, people will get involved if they have the information, but to get the information, we need to connect the dots. And I think it's the only way to do it. There is nothing ready. And even if there is, would it be for one part of that segment and not thinking about also, it's a constant, we are constantly evolving and creating things. So I think, you know, we need to be open, patient, communicate, and connect the dots. I think that when you talk, just going back, right? And this is my perspective because I'm in Brazil. As I mentioned, getting to the segment was never an issue or a risk. I would see as a risk. But here, because of our reality, any connection I have to do with someone that has connection to the government, politics, it's an issue. I can put my business in risk. So it's very interesting, depending on where we are and the moment we are, how we are going to make a decision. Just understand timing. It's extremely important for the young ones that are not very patient, and you know, even me not being young one, I'm not very patient as well. But we need to be, you know, that anxiety to make it work, to make it happen, and needs time because not everyone is on the same page as we are. Not everyone understand what we do now. What I understand now about the community was not what I understood 5 years ago. So just give the chance and take a deep breath and keep going. I think that is what we have to do.
Yeah, and I also actually believe that the members of the community have the opportunity to connect with each other within the same country and try to advance LGBTQ plus travels. Because for example, within our program that supports LGBTQ plus owned businesses, we consider them ambassadors of LGBTQ plus travel. And that will actually lead to a progress, maybe not on a huge scale, but still within the limited zone where they are operating. So for example, Lipian, and I don't know if Robin is back, and given that you are operating in India and South Africa, can you please share with us some best practices that you have used to advance LGBTQ plus tourism in your country or region?
I think it has been an interesting journey because when we started, we sort of like had to create our own processes and procedures and systems in place on how we sort of like operate. And one of the key mandates that we put in place was, in terms of the service providers that we work with, they have got to be providers that have received sensitivity training, basic sensitivity training on how they can handle LGBT traveling groups that we can facilitate for them. And we have also made it a point with all of our partners, including government institutions, to say whenever we have to do any program, we have got to ensure that whoever is facilitating those groups have received that training. And after that training, we have also made it a policy that each particular organization should still proceed on advancing that training for their teams, for their management, so that they can also individually learn how to market, tap into the market, retain the market individually, whilst we consult with them on a part-time basis externally. I think that is the biggest, I think, let me just say procedure that we have established, and it has sort of like helped destinations that we're currently working with within South Africa and other countries like Zimbabwe and Botswana, where at that stage you realize that you actually start having more businesses getting an interest in LGBT tourism and developing an inner zeal of how they can actually succeed and prosper in advancing LGBT tourism individually.
Yeah, actually, because as you said, it's a chain of connecting businesses and getting to know other businesses. But one of the main issues that we have faced with the IGLTA Foundation Emerging Destination Program that I will introduce in a few is actually finding these businesses and reaching out to them. Because yes, maybe there are some LGBTQ plus operated or owned businesses in emerging destination, for example, Zimbabwe, but they won't be advertised as such because maybe they're scared of being outed in a way where it could put them in danger. So do you have an idea, or how can we reach and actually find LGBTQ plus tourism businesses in these destinations? And most importantly, how can we support them?
I think another observation I made is there are actually quite a lot of businesses that are interested in tapping into this particular market, but the problem is lack of knowledge and lack of awareness from a destination perspective. A number of businesses will tell you that we actually didn't know that this particular type of market exists, or we actually did not know how to advance into this particular market because I'll use their words, I'll quote them, then they'll say, we don't know where to find them, as it were. So I think I'll speak from an IGLTA perspective. We definitely need to see more visibility of IGLTA from a destination perspective, and this can be through participation, a wide and broader participation in, for instance, the travel shows that are happening from an African perspective. I think this would be a very good starting point because that would then establish an interaction with the trade and eventually with all the other suppliers that can connect through the trade. And I think there could be a format that can probably be incepted where I think a roadshow of some sort can also be done to sort of like create greater awareness, especially from a supplier to trade perspective, because at the end of the day, it all really comes down to creating more awareness in addition to the efforts that are currently being done in the region. There's a great need for creating a greater awareness across the spectrum.
Exactly, yeah. Raising awareness and educating people is the key to all of this. And Gisele has her hand raised, so I guess.
Yeah. Yes, I was just thinking here out loud and we could brainstorm a little bit. And I'm sorry if you already do that. I don't know much about the foundation, but one thing that I'm saying, like when I'm thinking about Seychelles has a school, right? Hospitality school, because when you try to do something with a few players, okay, you're going to go there and build this awareness with this DMC, and then he keeps developing it, and then you go to a hotel and do the same thing. But when you go to the school, when you go to the university, the travel school, where the young crowd is being trained, and when you try to do a partnership with the school there and insert a module on the segment, and how powerful can be the segment for culture exchange, for money, like all that Santi shared with us, the beautiful numbers that every destination want to hear, and everything else, all the impact, all the history. When you create that from the from the beginning. So everyone that leaves the school with that understanding, she can go or he can go, or they can go to a DMC, work on a hotel, work on for the destination, work for, they can be a travel guide, can be anyone, but they understand what it is. So I think it might be a step that you want to take as a foundation and make those partnerships with the schools and these that you create this awareness from the beginning, that understand from the beginning, and then I think you can spread your wings much further.
Exactly.
If you start from there.
Yeah, and I'm happy to share that one of the main initiatives that the foundation conducted this year is offering 2 scholarships for the first ever LGBTQ plus tourism master degree at the University of Barcelona, which Lipian and I are enrolled in. So it's really a huge step towards advancing LGBTQ plus tourism. To have a degree in a master's like that is a life-changing thing for me or Lipian, for example. Mm-hmm. So yeah, as you said, I really hope in the future we will have more opportunities to have other members of the community enrolled in such programs. And I hope that other universities will create similar programs to that. Yeah, so yeah, we with the foundation, we definitely do that.
And it doesn't need to be all this, what I'm saying, well, we don't have time here because my mind starts thinking, but I'm saying, like, if you start with, you go there, for example, ask John, Santi, yourself to go to Seychelles and give a week seminar on the travel university over there, hospitality university, to all students. Doesn't need to be a master, they need to understand the basics, exactly. the basic thing. And I'm sure that you already changed a lot, that you already plant a lot of seeds, and then go to, to all these, every beautiful country of this world and do the same. And then.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing this thought with us, Gisele. And I'm really sorry that we lost Robindro from the call. I think he was having some internet issues, and last but not least, and before closing up our panel discussion, that I have deeply enjoyed, as you may know, in countries, and as we mentioned earlier, where the LGBT infrastructure is weak, young LGBTQ plus entrepreneurs don't have the professional guidance. In my case, before working with IGLTA, I was completely lost. And I didn't know how my career will look like after graduation. And I'm pretty grateful that I started my career with IGLTA because I got a guidance from a personal and a professional level, because my team was there for me and helped me achieve all of the things that I have achieved so far. But not all of the people have the same chance as me. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people with us today were in the same exact position, where you cannot really relate to anyone from the tourism sector because it's mainly a heteronormative sector. So my question is, if you can give your younger self a professional advice that you wish someone would have given it back to you at the time, what would it be? Lipian, you can start.
I think the advice I would have given myself is to jump and venture into LGBT tourism at an earlier stage. I believe that would have created a greater impact, especially from Zimbabwe being a country which it is today. And I can never imagine, rather, I cannot imagine how it would have been should I have just ventured into LGBT tourism earlier. So far, it has been, I think, since 2018, I got into tourism 2012. So you can imagine what would have happened on the African continent.
How about you, Gisele?
Well, just making sure that we all know that I'm still my young self. I'm going to give it, please. I think it's to get connected to that. Nowadays, we have many more tools that we had before. Due to the digital transformation, we have LinkedIn. I use nowadays. Today I use LinkedIn as a source of people that I want to connect. I want to exchange experience. I see whoever is completely different from me, and I go there and I connect and I try to see what they are doing that I haven't learned yet. I haven't heard about. Social media, we have YouTube, we have videos, we have so many tools. Like I was privileged to be connected to people that really guide me through that, and I appreciate, but there are a lot of, depend on your personality as well. Sometimes people are not very outgoing, or they are more preserved. So they can watch tons of videos that have a reference, connect on social media, try to network on LinkedIn, go to events. So they need to go out there, connect, learn, and do it, and do things and find their proper purpose.
Thank you so much, Gisele. Well, thank you as well, Lipian, and thank you for joining us and for using your voice to talk about this important subject and help amplify the underrepresented voices of the industry. So I'm really grateful that you have joined me today. Really, thank you so much. And yeah, with that said, and before starting our Q&A session, I would like to briefly introduce our Foundation Emerging Destination Program. So the Emerging Destination Program is a membership incentive program designed to assist small LGBTQ+ owned or operated tourism businesses in emerging markets. Thanks to this program, the foundation will offset the annual IGLTA membership fee significantly for these businesses. This program was created to increase visibility for LGBTQ+ tourism and make the world more welcoming for queer travel, and also support the local LGBTQ+ community. Members under this program will receive the same exact benefit as IGLTA members. The only difference is that you have to be an LGBTQ+ owned or managed business and based in an emerging destination. We have a list of countries eligible, but feel free to reach out to us if your country is not on the list, and we can manage to have you under the program. I would like also to highlight, and this is really important, this program is open to transgender owned or operated businesses anywhere in the world. Because as we all know, while the LGBTQ+ community as a whole has made a lot of progress over the past few decades, the transgender community in particular still faces major challenges. So we are trying to maximize our effort to support the transgender community as much as we can. So please feel free to share this program within your network and your readers and help us spread the word about the importance of this program. The link of the program landing page will be on the chat. So please feel free to reach out to us via email if you have any question or request, and we'll be happy to assist. With that said, I would like now to pass it on to our beautiful audience. So please feel free to raise your hand if you have any question, or please feel free to write it on your chat. And we have the first question from Mr. Jordan.
Hi.
Hello.
I'm going to do what you've been doing a great job, Amine, for a first-time moderator. I think it's been fantastic. I've enjoyed it a lot.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to do. We have a little. I can see people clapping hands around the world. I'm going to fire a question at just like you have been doing. I'm just curious to know about what people think about and actually this is for the panel and also maybe for the audience as well. If people think that COVID has made a difference with this topic, has it made it easier to open these conversations with when talking to the government or talking to other businesses? Has it made them more open-minded, or maybe the opposite? I'm just curious to know whether this experience of the COVID-19 slowdown and then recovery, whether this has made any difference to this topic.
Gisele or Lipian, if you would like to start, feel free.
That is very interesting, Peter. Very interesting question. Probably because, like you said, there was a slowdown and we had more time to plan, to go after information, to get organized, to design new approaches, to design new goals. And that is probably, I didn't see directly, yes, we had more time to digest, to organize our thoughts and our activities. So interesting. Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
Lipian, would you like to add anything?
I think giving it as a case study of what happened with us, we also use that time to reposition the business so that when a phase or in a time when the world is reopening, we'll find ourselves ready and fit to start hitting the ground rolling. And we even found ourselves diversifying into the MICE segment, working around the number of bid works, bid documents, trying to see which events, conferences we can bid on behalf of South Africa and Botswana. So I think, yeah, there's that part that happened during the time of COVID, and now we are here. A number of businesses have closed down, closed shop, but we are one of the few businesses that made it because of that repositioning.
And yeah, I think with that, we have a comment from Mark Hessman. So please feel free to unmute yourself. And
hello, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, I just kind of wanted to sub in for Robin for a minute. I work with Serene Journeys, and Robin got bumped off on the internet. I know he's having trouble getting back in. So if I could just take 2 seconds to previously answer a couple of the questions that you posed. First, about what they do about encouraging, or what we do about encouraging LGBT with travel in India. Robin spends a lot of time in India. The important thing is to get to the hospitality owners as opposed to sales reps. And so Robin spends a lot of time going around in India, contacting, boutique hotel owners and so on and so forth to see, which are friendly, which are less friendly, and then also to help train people that are, and then, as you know, in this business, there are in the travel business, there's certain places we send people, generally, so we have a pattern and we can be organized. So he really focuses on that. And then the second thing is a lot of social media, as Gisele was talking about, LinkedIn, Facebook. I think he's got 10,000 followers on Instagram. That's a other important thing, I guess, as far as encouraging. And I know that you're going to be running out of time. So you also asked the question about challenges that he faced growing in this business. And I will tell you that when what he could tell his younger self, he's still pretty young, just like Gisele, and pretty much everybody on this thing is younger than me. But anyhow, I think what he would tell himself is that the fight's worth it. You're going to face challenges in lots of things. Just the travel business itself, with COVID these last couple of years, and I think growing up through the LGBT space in this probably prepared him better for COVID and what would happen with COVID, because, he'd had these challenges before. And so I think his message to the group would be just keep hanging in there, because sometimes the walk or the journey is better than the destination. And I think he's thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you so much for stepping in and presenting Robin. And I would like to add to what you said, that, and I will always say that one of the things that I love about the community and my community is that we are resilient, and nothing will ever change that. And that resilience will keep pushing us to make a lot of progress through time. And that's what gathers all of us. That's why we are here with IGLTA, and that's the goal of IGLTA. So thank you so much for saying that. With that said, we can take one last question before we run out of time. So please feel free to send it over on the chat or unmute yourself. Well, I guess we don't have a question. Well, it's been a huge
crowd.
It's been a huge pleasure being part of this webinar and seeing all the beautiful faces from all around the world. I'm really grateful to have done this and to have done my moderator debut in such a beautiful webinar. The recording of the call will be available on the landing page, so please feel free to check it out and share it as much as you can. And thank you so much, everyone, for attending. Hopefully, we'll be seeing you soon in Milan. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you so
Bye,
much.
everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.